Okay, another dream. As always, yeah, much needed explanation that it's bits and pieces of a dream, and I'm gonna try and fill in the cracks and make it work. Sometimes I have dreams and I remember them in really good detail, but most of the time I don't. Most of the time I don't wake up to my alarm where I'm still sleeping and be able to remember everything. Like, what I can remember from this dream was waking up when Asher got us up. Asher got us up at like 3 a.m. I want to say 2:30. I think I looked at my phone, but I can't really say for sure 100% that I remember when it was. Emily went downstairs, got a bottle for a little man, and I changed him. So there's some awake time in there. When I got up, I did not look at my phone until I kind of like went back over the details. Most of the time, if you jump right on your phone, you're gonna forget. I didn't do that. So I was in this dream. Emily and I were not married yet, but we were engaged. So I had decided that before I could marry Emily, I really wanted to go back to school and get a semester, because I was going to try to continue that. Man, you got bright lights. I was going to try and continue that so that when we got married, it wouldn't be like, okay, now you jump. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense when you really think about it, but for some reason it made sense to me that I had to go back to school before I could marry Emily. In the dream, it made sense. So I went back. The best in my dream, the best industrial college for the best money was in Cincinnati. And I had a buddy that was living in Cincinnati. I think his name was like Cargill or something. Cargill would hang out with these gang dudes. Even though he wasn't in a gang, they were cool with him. And he would always stay up to date on all of the happenings, the balances of power and everything. And he told me right now is a good time to come down because the gangs are not fighting right now. So we have pretty much zero crime right now as far as violence. The property lines, territory lines have been well settled. okay, cool. So I applied to this college, got in, borrowed like $1,700 from the bank. That wasn't working, but I had some money that I was sitting on. Emily might have given it to me at that. I think she gave me $5,000 because she really wanted me to be successful and to not have to worry about anything down there. So I got into the college. The college was like this, I want to say, like, how can I describe it? It was like a white limestone building with like these pillars everywhere. That's the word I'm looking for. Like the pillars, old pillars that used to have like grooves in them, and they were like stone white. Not like a marble, but like a limestone. They were very well weathered. So I had these classes that I was taking, and I started out doing okay. I wasn't failing any of my classes. Man, everyone wants to have their brights on this morning. Thank you. I started out doing okay. I wasn't failing. But my buddy Cargill was constantly dropping by to let me know how things were going. And Cargill said, you know, he'd come by on the weekend and be like, hey man, this is going on, this is going down. And he would basically offer me like, hey, if you want to run a drug deal and deliver this item to such and such, you can make a lot of money. And it's risk-free. And I would always say no, because I wasn't there to get started on drug dealing. I was there to get a degree. And I was at least... at that school, I wanted to at least get my Gen Ed credits out of the way. I think that's what I was studying. It was just Gen Ed. And in real life, when I took Gen Ed at GRCC, a lot of that stuff I didn't do well on, because I didn't do well with it in high school. Algebra. I did okay in English. Some of that stuff. Like, when I went back to school in, I think it was like 2013, I did not pass my algebra class. What a waste that was. But in the dream, some of that stuff I was doing okay with. Some of it I wasn't, but I got more involved with Cargill. Cargill kept trying to convince me to do these things, and he convinced me at one point in time to come to a party. In the beginning, I'm like, I'm not touching anybody. I'm not drinking nothing. I'm not eating nothing. I don't smoke. I didn't trust anybody with anything. And Cargill was basically just my buddy from high school. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I know Cargill from church. And I know that he'll definitely won't stick me in the back, you know. He was more like an acquaintance than like a good friend. So we were hanging out at this party, and these people started talking guns and this and that. And I was like, hey, you want to see something cool? And they were like, what, is it a gun? I'm like, well, do you have a gun? He's like, yeah, I got one. And he like lifted up his coat, and he had like just a little knockoff off-brand pea shooter 9mm, and it was like so rusty. There was no magazine in it. Like you wouldn't even have been able to use it. And I was like, oh yeah, nice. So then I said, because in the dream I had my little revolver, so I took it out and dumped the bullets out, which for some reason there was only one bullet in there. You stay. Okay. For some reason there was only one bullet. The rest of the bullets were in my pocket. I dumped it out, showed it to him. He's like, oh man, that's nice. Where'd you get this? I said, oh, I bought it at such and such store. It cost me $400. He's like, oh man, would you mind if I show this to my buddy real quick? Because he's looking to get something just like this. I said, yeah, that's fine, but I'm just gonna not trying to be rude or nothing, but I need something to know that you'll give it back. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. And he reached into his backpack and took out this little pistol case. And he gave it to me. He's like, well, that's mine, so you can know that, like, you know, I'm not going to steal yours, because then I wouldn't be able to get mine back. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So he walks off into this crowd. And I kind of open up the case, and there's like this rusty, crusty Caltech that had been like rainbow spray painted. There was no mag in it, and there were like a couple of old steel cased full metal jacket rounds, like literally just sitting in the mag well. There was no magazine, but they were just inside of the hole of the mag well. So I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and he wasn't coming back. And I'm like, crap, what do I do? Because that gun was like the only thing I had for self-defense, and I wasn't going to be able to use the one that he left me. So I tried looking for him, and I couldn't find him. So eventually I'm just like, well, I'm not taking the gun that he gave me, because I got no idea if that has like a body attached to it. Like, he could have killed somebody with that, and I wouldn't know. So I just left it on the ground. I went to one of my classes, and my old boss, Ruby, was the teacher. And she had a really, like, skanky looking outfit on. And she's like, did you do your work, Jeremy? I was like, yeah, I did. She's like, what about that overdue paper I was talking to you about. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, look in your folder. Open up my black folder. Sure enough, paper. I didn't do it. I'm like, how the heck? I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow, I promise. She's like, well, just don't let your grades slip, because you know what happens if you have too many late papers. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So I went back to my dorm, which was in this crappy area too. And I sit down to do this paperwork, to do the homework. And I get a knock on the door, and it's Cargill. He's like, hey man, some stuff's going down. I don't know if you want to stick around here. I said, what do you mean stuff's going down? He's like, Ivan the Red, from the Reds, you know, the Bloods, you know the Bloods, right? I said, isn't that like a West Coast gang? He's like, I don't know, but Ivan the Red has been pushing into this territory, and I can guarantee you there's going to be some fighting. So I don't know if you want to stick around for that, because things can get pretty heated up here when that kind of stuff goes down. I just want to let you know, if you start seeing homies walking around on the block and they're wearing red, that's how you know. Because they wear red as part of like their uniform. You gotta wear something red. He said, so don't wear anything blue or red. Just wear like, you know, gray or whatever it is that you got, but don't wear red and don't wear blue unless you want to get shot. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. He's like, I'm serious. This is the worst that I have seen it since I lived in this city. I'm really afraid something's gonna go down. I'm like, okay, thank you for telling me. He's like, yeah, anytime. Hey, did you ever get your gun back? I said, no, and if I'm contradicting myself, I didn't mean to. If I said Cargill was the one who took the revolver, he wasn't. It was some other guy that I was talking to at the party. Cargill said, I know the guy who took it, and I'm going to go right now and get it back from him, because he was showing it off. And I'm going to tell him that's my friend, and he needs it. So Cargill left, and like a half hour later, he came back, and he had it. He's like, this the one? I'm like, yeah, it's the one. He's like, okay. They were about to spray paint it. I'm like, oh, figures. So Cargill was like, look, this is your last chance to go to a party if you want to. I'm like, I really can't. I gotta focus on my homework. He's like, no, man. If I'll tell you what, if you want to get in good with the people who run this show currently, you better come to this party. Because if you don't, and they haven't seen you a couple of times, if they see you a couple of times before things heat up, they're gonna know that you're not one of the bad dudes, like somebody trying to infiltrate. Because believe it or not, they recruit white people to spy and to do things like that, and you don't want them to think that you're a spy. I'm like, do I really have to, Cargill? Because I'm trying to do homework in here. He's like, no, man, you have to. I'm like, okay, I guess I don't have a choice. So I went with Cargill to this party. He's like, now, if you don't have a drink, they're gonna think that you're up to something. So have one of these wine coolers. And he cracked it open and gave it to me. I'm like, fine. Like, what I really wanted to do was just go back and do my homework and get that stupid homework out of the way so that I didn't fail the class. But Cargill was more like, hey man, your life depends on this. You got to survive in this social setting, or it won't matter if you get an education or not. You'll just be killed. So while I was at this party, there was this good-looking girl who came over from across the room, and I was trying to ignore her. And when I say good-looking, I don't mean like, oh, I was interested in her. I mean, everybody in the room understood that she was pretty. She comes over and she goes, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. All of this commotion that's been going on lately, it really makes me want the touch of a man. And guess what? I pick you. And she just jumped on me. She just started kissing me, and she took my hand. Hang on just a sec, I gotta park. Okay, I parked. She took my hand and put it on the inside of her thigh, and I was just captivated. My 20-year-old brain was not working. And so she's like, why don't you come with me? And she held my hand and walked me back to her room. And she started taking her clothes off. And my phone went off. And I think it was Emily just saying, hey, I've just been thinking about you and want to let you know I love you. And I just looked at the girl and I was like, what are you, hold on. What are we doing? What are you doing? She's like, well, I was about to make you, said a bunch of things. I said, no. She's like, well, don't you want to blah, blah, blah? I'm like, no, I'm engaged. Keep your clothes on. I'm engaged. She's like, oh, well, she'll never know. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's wrong. It happened so fast that I didn't even have a chance to process what was going on. My Neanderthal man brain was just thinking of one thing. And when I came to my senses, it was whoa, pump the brakes here. I'm not gonna sleep with some random girl at some random party. So I ended up leaving the party. And I think right before I left the party, someone had brought a whole bunch of KFC. Oh, got something in my teeth. They'd brought a whole bunch of fried chicken, and they were buckets of it. And no one was paying attention. So on the way out, I just grabbed a whole bucket of the chicken and left. No one saw. I went back to my dorm and just sat down at the table and just started devouring this chicken. And at some point, I just called my dad and just said, Dad, you've got to help me get out of here. Things are about to really heat up here, Dad. Everybody's talking gang wars and all these things. And he's like, no, listen, I can't come right now, but what I want you to do is just keep your gun nearby And keep your phone too, because you want to be able to call 911, and you want to be able to take video, because that's the only thing that they're going to believe is if you get a video. I was like, okay. I think then, like, shortly, and I was late on the paper again, so I ended up failing the math class. But I had felt guilty. The worst thing was, like, I felt guilty about, like, almost, like, getting sucked into that woman's advances. Like, I couldn't believe that my brain had let that happen. I think that's, like, kind of the craziest part of the dream. I don't think I shot anybody or did anything like that, but, like, somebody almost, like, convinced me to sleep with them. And I don't think I've ever had that happen in a dream. But I'm proud that I resisted. I don't remember too much more. I think my family came down. I think they came down, but I don't think there was a resolution. I don't think I ended up getting out of there or anything like that. There was never, like, a feeling of safety. And when I woke up, like this morning, when Asher woke me up, I could taste fried chicken in my mouth. I had been eating the KFC and I could taste it in my mouth.